Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. I hope you guys are all well. We haven't really done a morning show quite yet, but I think today it's very fitting that we do so because we all woke up to the news about Faf du Plessis retiring from Test cricket. Now, to many different Proteas fans out there, Faf would mean something differently. I mean, I look at him with that perfectly styled hair and that smile, open disposition. We couldn't not help but like him as a captain, as a player. Yes, we can look at his stats. We can say that he's played 69 test matches at the average of 40 with 10 hundreds and 21 50s. We can all say that we were really sad when he didn't turn one of those hundreds into a double century. I mean, we all felt it. I felt it. You guys felt it. I even shed a little tear when he didn't reach that mark. But I'm going to start off by saying what Faf meant to me. Now, he hasn't been in my life, I would say, as long as other people and as other people that will be on the stream today. But there was a small moment that really changed my life when it comes to Faf du Plessis. Now, I'm not going to talk about his performances on the field because I'm going to leave that to the callers to do so. I'm going to talk about how he's changed my life in a small way without him even knowing it. It was my first ever press conference, and I put up my hand to ask a question to Faf. Now, as you know, I was very nervous. All I was doing is soaking up the pressure and listening to everybody around me, soaking up the knowledge, seeing how they ask questions. I kind of waited till almost at the end of the press conference to do so. And I put up my hand and asked Faf a question. I could see that he saw that I was a new person and how nervous I was. I saw a shift in his body language and he gave me an amazing long answer. I don't know if he did it consciously, knowing that I was a young, new journalist in the industry, but I saw that there was something small that was different in the way he helps the younger journalists to give them the best answers that he possibly can give them. Another massive moment for me was when I opened up this publication and we all went down to Paul, where Faf was captain of the Paul Rocks. And he gave me an interview, an exclusive interview that he didn't have to. I told him about my story. I told him that it's a new publication, and he was happy to chat to me. He even took a phone call on the actual interview, which was hilarious. So you guys must go check that out too. But to me, Faf was a soldier. Faf was a cricketer. Faf was a captain, an inspiration to us all, to me as a person in this industry, to so many others out there. So I'm wearing pink in commemoration of him, and we're going to get the show rolling. So to all of you guys out there, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all of those things. Send your tributes in the live chat. I would like to know what you have to say. Let us hear what you have to say about Faf. If you want to call into the show, you can call in and have your say too. So I have my first caller on the show, someone that I feel knows Faf better than majority of us, I feel, and can give us an insight into Faf that we can only dream of knowing. So first and foremost, welcome to the show, Zahir Adams. I mean, my first memory of Faf and you is when I went to the one of the net sessions at the Wanderers. And Lugi came to chat to me a little bit, and I felt so like I was so happy, and like and Lugi came to chat to me, and then you were like, oh, how do you know Lugi? So I said, no, I know I did a feature on him a while back, and you were like, oh, okay. And then a while later, Faf called you over, and you started chatting to Faf at the Nets, and I was like, now that's the levels that you want to reach in life. But, when it comes to Faf du Plessis, first? Let's start off with when you first saw Faf and as a player, and when he came into the South African circuit. What stood out to you about Faf du Plessis?
I'm wondering, Khalid. I don't know if it's a sad day or a happy day. Whether that he's decided to call time on his test career.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's fine.
Frozen? Can we carry on? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's. I think it's the right. First of all, it's the right time that he's made the decision. I think it's probably a year too late But that's just testimony to the man, and what he's wanted to, even after he gave up the captaincy, that he still wanted to give of himself to South African cricket. There was no reason for him to do so. All his mates had said, "Thank you very much, we done," but he wanted to carry on and try and help this young team. And it probably affected his record, his personal record, but it was never about that for him. It was about trying to get the team across. But just back to your question, in terms of how long I knew Faf. Remember, he's a Titans boy. He's a proper Titans guy from office. And that's where he's from, and that's where we was brought up, and he was reared in that environment. And for us Capetonians and the Cobras and the Titans, that doesn't always go down very well. So initially, it was a very frosty relationship. It was a relationship, one of of not understanding each other, and just that swag that he has now. It was that back then. It was deemed arrogance and breakerach, and that type of thing. That's it. He was always the guy with the, at the time, that gel and spikes was the thing. And blonde streaks. There's a few photos if you looked at him at the National Academy. He was a guy that always put himself out there, and not many people enjoyed it initially. Because South African cricket is very, there's a certain way you got to do things, and it's
For sure.
very conservative and rigid, and Faf was always pushing those boundaries back then already, and everybody thought, like, what have you actually done in this game? Like, what have you to be like this? You know what I'm saying? And it took a while to actually to warm up to the bloke. But as I think his time in England, he spent the time in England, and also that's when he came back. He came back with this determination just to get his head down, and actually to show what cricketer, he what he's about. And I think also because he grew up with AB, everybody kind of, he was always in the shadow of AB. Everybody was like, that was always the comparison. AB does this, AB does that. Now, and so Faf actually took AB got picked when he was very young, where Faf had to go the long route via Lancashire, and so it made him stronger, and it made him into the individual he is today. So when he eventually came into the South African team, he was absolutely ready. I mean, that innings that he played in Adelaide on his debut, it was somebody that waited so long for his chance and just wanted to succeed, and that was the determination that stood out for me. That there's this guy that was willing to literally die for his country. That's what he was about. He will admit he's not the most skillful, he's not the most talented, but he was willing to die out there for South Africa over that 2 days. And when he faced 375 balls, saved the test match, and from there, it just went. And but that's the guy on the field. The guy off the field is somebody that is constantly wanting to learn about himself, wanting to improve, and that is something that you cannot. It's the highest attribute for me for any human being, that you're always wanting to evolve, you're always wanting to learn from other people's experiences. So that's something that has come along, and it was very evident during his captaincy, where he allowed people to share their experiences, so that he could understand not only the player but the person as well. And Vinny Barnes actually just posted something today about our coaches. You talk about techniques, mental aspects of the game, but sometimes you just need that connection with a player to get the best out of them, and that's what Faf was all about. He wanted to get the very best out of his players, and I think he learned that a lot while in India with MS Dhoni at Chennai Super Kings, where they place a lot of investment on the individual and the person, and not just the cricketer. And we've seen with Faf over the last years. Particularly over this last 12 months, with the pandemic, he broke the he started handing out the food parcels. He started feeding the people. He started doing things outside of his comfort zone, and he went with his mate Zahir Adams, and they, you know, and they.
I think we just lost you there for a second, Zahir. You're frozen. Okay, we can bring him back a little later. I'm just going to get another caller in. When he reconnects, I'm going to get Ravi on the show quickly to have a few things to say. Ravi, I know
Morning,
Faf was
Fadi. Morning, South Africa. Morning, everywhere else in the world. How are you?
No, I'm good, thank you, man. I know that you were a big fan of.
Are you on mute?
No, I'm not on mute. Can you not hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, just try to reconnect to the show quickly. I'm gonna bring Zahir back on. Zahir, you just broke up there.
Okay, where did I break up? Sorry, guys.
You were talking about relationship with Zahir Adams as well.
Yes. So what I was saying was that he had that relationship with Sia, and together they did amazing work during the pandemic by, you know, handing out food to the needy, and clothes, and it was something that was very dear to him. It was something that he actually called me up, and he wanted to understand a little bit more about, you know, what's he doing and why is he doing it, because it wasn't just he didn't want it to be a social media exercise. That wasn't what it was about. He wanted to actually understand the needs of the people, you know, and furthermore, he was one of the, if not the first, one of the first white cricketers to stand up in conjunction with the black cricketers for BLM. So that just showed that he had a social conscience. He was a man that was aware of his surroundings outside the cricket field, you know, and those are the things that impressed me over the years. You speak of as a young journalist. I mean, just my relationship with him as a journalist, he would confide in me with the most, you know, with things that, because it was an element of trust, and it was only built upon if I could trust him and he could trust me. It was a mutual relationship, you know. It was never one where he only called me up because he needed something to go in the paper, you know, he needed to get a message across, or whatever the case might be. So that's something that I'll always respect about him, the fact that he had a a greater understanding of what it meant to be an international sportsman, and not just a somebody that goes out and picks up a salary, and you know, and does his job. That to me, beyond whatever he achieved on the cricket field, I think that what he achieved on the cricket field was due to that, because I mean, you look at Kagiso Rabada, a young fast bowler. He was 20 years old. And he came in the side, and Faf just put his arm around him and said, "Look here, mate. You know, I'll protect you. You just go out and you do your thing." And I mean, that week, I'm not. Holly, you were with us when we went PE that week when KG went for his hearing, and Faf was there right by his side when David Warner walked up the steps, you know, in Kingsmead, and you know, and he was ready to take on whoever. Faf was there first, you know. He
in his
didn't
style.
in his style, you know, only his style. You know, I think that was part of it. Like, never needed a reason not to wear a shirt, you know, particularly when there was a camera around. But you know, he was there first. He didn't wait for the others. Then he came around and said, you know, he was leading the way, where it was in the heat of battle, on and off the field. You know what I'm saying? So that was the thing. And again, like I spoke about him and his social consciousness. There's an amazing pick that should be the blueprint for everything in South African sport. It's in Perth, and KG runs in, and he gets a wicket, and Faf hugs him and kisses him on his forehead.
Yes.
Now, if we don't understand the magnitude and the value of that here is a man, an Afrikaans man from Pretoria, kissing a black man from Johannesburg on the forehead, like that is, you know, it's just the levels that it sends to South Africa of what we can be as a nation. And Faf understood that, and it wasn't an act. It wasn't it was something that was genuine, because he was appreciating KG's talents and abilities, and that's all that mattered to Faf. That's all that mattered. That KG could run in and bowl at 150 Ks and knock over the best batsman in the world, and that is something that I think he taught South Africa, and it's up to us whether we want to listen and take the message forward. But that's to me what he meant. Not just a guy that went out and scored hundreds. He did funky things. He declared with David Warner still, off the field, and and the Aussies were like, "What's going on?" And they had to get another opening in, and he just did different things. He did music videos, with the players. He did, that song still. What's it from? It still rings in my head. It's the Pitbull. It's from Pitbull. It's still, it still rings in my head all the time during that T20 World Cup because he wanted to be viable. Yeah, he pushed his players in different spaces, and he asked different questions from them, and and we haven't seen anybody like that in South Africa, and I don't know if we're going to see anybody anytime soon.
Yeah, so we saw initially that it was the majority of the fans would have seen this his statement on Instagram. You guys can go check that out. But it's Zahir Adams that obviously broke the story in Cape August August this morning. I want you guys to go read that. I don't know if you guys put it on your IOL website quite yet. If you did, then you must go check it out over there as well. I just want to thank you, Zahir, for coming on the show and sharing your thoughts with on Faf du Plessis.
I don't need a second invitation to talk about the great man. So, thanks, Khalid. We'll see you later. Let me get back to my real job.
Thank you, bro. I'll see you soon. So we've got another caller, and that's Ravi. He doesn't have much time, but he wanted to come on the stream, so he waited around. Welcome to the stream, Ravi. I know that you're a big fan of Faf du Plessis. You've always mentioned it. Do you have a few words to say to him?
Yeah, apart from being a big fan of his hairstyle, I try to mimic it as best as I can. I see you doing the same thing as well, which is great. Yeah, Faf is you got it's actually quite a semi-emotional day because I feel that he's the kind of captain that put his team first at all times. There was no dispute around that, and I think today's decision was very much like that. I think Zahir talks about when Faf initially came through the system and he played with Lancashire and so on. I recall Faf as early as 2004, 2005 playing for the Titans, when the Titans were rising up to the challenge of becoming a dominant team. He actually was known as FAQ. I don't know if I could say it without the risk of you being demonetized by YouTube, but his name was actually FAQ, and I'm sure the viewers can actually spell it for themselves. So he wasn't always known as Faf, and I think when he went over to Lancashire, that transition happened. So he was FAQ du Plessis for a very long time in the domestic circuit in the early 2000s. And he was an incredible guy. He had swagger. He had so much confidence. It's almost as though he knew he was going to get the call up at some point. And, I had a lot of doubts when he entered the team in 2010, 2011. And then he made his test debut in 2012, as it were. But I think it's amazing how he cemented his spot so quickly. He got 100 in, I think it was Adelaide. And it was like a defiant innings of in many respects. Incredible player, puts his team first. And I think as a captain, he was such a engaging captain as well. You always see him talking to the players. One of my fondest memories, apart from that test innings, was a 5-0 trouncing of Australia at home. And I felt that his captaincy was instrumental to the success of that. So at this juncture, I'd like to say congratulations to Faf du Plessis on a wonderful career. I would have loved to have met you and interviewed you like Khalid. Maybe the powers that be can give me that opportunity one day on a Legends with Ravi show. Who knows? We'll have to ask the boss himself, Khalid, about that. But thanks again for having me on the show, Khalid.
No problem. We'll see you again later for our CSAT 20 challenge show that we'll have later tonight. Thanks a lot for coming on the show, Ravi. There's so many people that Faf's inspired. There's so many people from all walks of life, whether it be cricketers, whether it be journalists, whether it be the ordinary fans that have inspired Faf du Plessis. He's moved to the IPL, what he's done over there as well, massive from that perspective as well. I haven't seen a man get people fall in love with someone so all over the world, from different countries. We've had the likes of AB as well do the same thing, but Faf was loved differently, man. Faf had this amazing presence, this aura about him when he was on screen, when he was in a press conference, when he was on camera. Amazing relationship with everybody that spoke to him, whether it be from young journalists to old journalists. An amazing character, amazing inspiration, an amazing human being. And we have to obviously talk about what a massive loss he will be to South African cricket, because he will be. He will be a massive loss for the test side, for the new captains coming in. I'm happy that he actually did his swan song in Pakistan, making history after 14 years coming to Pakistan, giving them an opportunity to have their fans come on board and feel what it is like to have live cricket again. I mean, they were lucky enough to have them on their shores the last time. I have someone that is an international cricket fan, that is also a massive Faf du Plessis fan, that actually called for Faf du Plessis to even take the captaincy again. That is someone from India. It's Aditya, you know him. So Aditya, thanks a lot for giving your time this morning. I know it was a rushed
My
one.
pleasure.
We were all a bit taken aback, obviously, by the news, and I needed to do something when it was fresh still in everybody's minds. Aditya, what does Faf mean to you? I mean, you as an India fan, and I know you like the Proteas as well, but you as an Indian fan, how did Faf inspire you?
Yeah, so there's a reason I'm wearing this India jersey, just to indicate how much Faf meant internationally to cricket fans, and certainly to me. So my first memory of Faf was, I remember I was sitting in my college room, and I was watching his Adelaide knock. Obviously, before that, the limited overs, I'd seen him play quite a bit. But my first memory of him really watching, a massive long knock of Faf du Plessis was his Adelaide blockathon, and I thought, this guy is incredible. To be able to do that for 4 sessions and really inspire the Proteas to serious victory after they'd drawn at the Gabba and then eventually drawn at Adelaide, and they won at Perth. So I had only respect and admiration for him. But I do want to mention this one knock that is my personal favorite, and unfortunately is very rarely talked about. And that's the 134 he made against India the following year at the Bull Ring. Because, whenever you talk about Faf du Plessis, we talk about the 110 in Adelaide. But my personal favorite is the 134, even though he made it against India. Because the Proteas were chasing 450. They were in dire straits when Faf and AB came on. And they had the only options at that point were either India winning or the match going to a draw. Faf played an innings that could have taken them to victory, and they fell short by 6 runs. And I personally felt heartbreak because I thought that South Africa deserved to win that one. That incredible innings deserved that win. And I had and following year I got a glance of Faf. He was with the Chennai Super Kings, and I happened to be in the same hotel at the time in Mumbai, and he was going somewhere with the team, so I couldn't really chat to him or say hello. But I saw him from reasonably close quarters. I can't hear you, bro.
It's unbelievable what he's done for world cricket, and not only for South African cricket as well. Aditya, you wanted him to be captain again. You called for him to be captain again. What was it about Faf that you think that he was such an amazing captain? In my eyes, he was the best captain that South Africa's seen, in my eyes. And I know a lot of people are going to say, but what about Graeme Smith? Yes, Graeme Smith was a phenomenal captain, but I feel the way Faf brought together people in a period where South Africa didn't have global superstars, to bring people together, to make someone like KG feel welcome in a side, amongst having so many other fast bowlers like Mone Morkel and Dale Steyn around you, and Kyle Abbott even, having KG become a superstar and not being scared to make KG the superstar in that side, and bringing everybody together in a team culture. I call it like Ubuntu in togetherness that we call it in South Africa. He brought people together, and he was well respected by everybody, and that was so key for me, because I feel that no matter who he had on the pitch with him, he'll make them believe that they could do anything, and that's what Faf brought. But from your perspective, what is it that made him such an amazing captain?
Well, certainly his man management skills. He was brilliant with his players, and we also have to see captaincy from the view that is the captain creating an environment whereby players can grow. So Kakiso Rabada's incredible growth over this period of time, a large part of that credit should go to Faf du Plessis, because he's really let him bloom. He said to him, "You do what you need to do. I'm here to support you." As Zahir mentioned, as you mentioned, um, so he was brilliant at that. Additionally, there's obviously the tactical nous. You need to have that tactical acumen to be able to really be a successful international captain. So giving Keshav Maharaj a debut in Perth, how many international captains do we know would give a finger spinner a debut in Perth, which is known as a paradise for fast bowling? None. And Keshav Maharaj ended up with 5 wickets in that game. That is brilliant. How often do you see that? And then obviously we've in Adelaide in that same series when he declared prematurely because he wanted to upset the Australians' opening partnership. That was spontaneous captaincy. And although we know that Faf, he loves information, he loves solid plans, but what that showed was that he was equally spontaneous and he was willing to make decisions on the go. So that was outstanding. And there was also this third instance I remember, and that was when you and I had our first conversation in Cape Town, where Ravichandran Ashwin really got stuck in, and he was sort of threatening to take the game away for the Indians. And Vernon Philander was bowling at the time, and through the entire game, Quinton de Kock was standing at the back. But just to upset Ravichandran Ashwin's state of mind, Faf and Quinton de Kock came to the stumps, and that really irked Ashwin. And eventually, a ball that he wanted to cut went straight into Quinton de Kock's hands. So I thought that was outstanding. And I think anything we say about Faf du Plessis' captaincy will be less. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thanks a lot for coming on the show, Aditya, and giving your thoughts on Faf du Plessis. We'll see you again later on with our show that we'll be doing later. Guys, I'm going to get into your comments right now. I don't think anybody can talk enough about Faf. I mean, I think amazing job he's done with the Paul Rocks as well. Phenomenal what he did with the Paul Rocks. To bring those people together and to go there and be such an icon for them. Faf make captain is what was shouted in the crowds every single time he walked over there and he played over there. I mean, for him to do that was unbelievable, and what he's done for the Paul people as well. But to expand his global influence, we're going to bring on another caller that's waiting in the calling list over here from all the way from England, and that's Shay from Uneven Bounce. Shay, tell me what you think about Faf du Plessis.
Well, morning to all the viewers. It's about 6:59 here, but when I heard obviously the news, I did want to comment from an outsider's perspective. Listen, I think obviously if you strip back all the sentimentality behind the whole thing, I think it's a wonderful cricketing decision. I think the timing of it is very very indicative of how Faf du Plessis kind of run his career. He's always put South African cricket first. So obviously rejected the callback contract in the end, came back, because I think if anyone heard the interview with Ravi Ashwin on his channel, it's very revealing about Faf du Plessis and how much the pro team mean to him. He talked obviously about his journey back to South African cricket, how just the country just kept coming back to him. And I think the time of this is fantastic because about chicken now plan. Obviously, there's no test cricket on the horizon at the moment. I think the next scheduled test series is end of the year. Hopefully there's some before, but end of the year it's India at home. It gives Boucher that clarity because too many people, I think, we won't say names, have kind of messed the administration around with their back and forths. But Faf said, landed off the plane for Pakistan a couple of weeks ago with the test team, and I said, I'm no longer part of the side. You can now plan without me. And I think also it will give that kind of extra step to the people who are looking for spots on the side, the kind of aspiring cricketers who know now a spot is available in the team. And I think, to be honest with you, from a football cricketing perspective, I think it's the right thing to do. Faf du Plessis has been on the wane a little bit in the last 12 months. If you take away the 199 last year, it was pretty poor years, averaging, kind of low double figures. Obviously, he didn't do very well in Pakistan either. So I think it's, I think just from a general playing perspective, he's no longer captain as well. He doesn't have that kind of that tag with which to keep him aside. That's obviously happened in the last few years, but. So I think I'm quite happy from a Proteas line perspective, because I've said on this show multiple times, Khalid, there's so much quality waiting in the wings. It's where they're going to find a spot. Well, now one spot's opened up, so I think South Africa have to move forward with a new set of guys in that top six, at least get some new blood in there. And I think obviously I said before on the post-match, second test post-match show, that I think Faf and Ras van der Dusen are the ones with kind of the question marks over them. So yeah, I am happy. And listen, he scored 10 centuries, he scored around 4,500 test runs in 9-year career, averaging just over 40. It was 40.02. I actually think I think he was better than that, to be honest with you. I think an average of a shade over 40. I think Faf du Plessis' talent was actually deserving of a higher average. I mean, 10 centuries, I thought he would have maybe yielded a few more than that when he first came onto the scene. But he's had to navigate such a difficult period in South African cricket. If you think about it, but I think, if you think about it, obviously, on and off the field, obviously, transformation's been a big part as well. He's had to contend with. He's had to, obviously, we saw that come to light a little bit last year with Temba Bavuma and his selection. But he's always done it with such dignity and grace. And I think that's the mark of the man. I think he's a wonderful person. You get that kind of feeling. I think Holland, you mentioned on the show about a press conference that Faf made you feel very easy, put you at ease. I think early on he knew you kind of a new journalist. I think that's a mark of the guy, because someone such a status in the world game because such a massive ego, but he never seemed to have that. He never really airs and graces. There's a comment actually, I think, from Shoaib, I think, and I wanted to talk about myself about the fact that he led that World 11 4 years ago back to Pakistan. I mean, I think that's kind of where he cared about the world game, not just about himself. And I think that him leading that side 4 years ago, when literally countries were like, just won't touch Pakistan with a barge pole, and he said, I will go to Pakistan. 8 years on from that, that unfortunately, obviously that attack on Sri Lanka. So yeah. I think from a cricketing perspective, I think it's really good for South Africa. I think it's excellent news, to be honest with you. I think that he marginally underachieved. I think stats don't really are befitting some of his ability. But I think Faf du Plessis in general will go down. I hate to say a great of the game. I don't think he will do that, but I think he'll go down as a South African legend, if that makes no sense.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Shay, for coming on the show and giving your thoughts on Faf. I think given this decision right now, guys, it's a decision that he's making for the betterment of cricket in South Africa, he feels. And I think that was obviously summed up in his statement. And I'm going to put it on the screen quickly before we bring on the next caller. It's been a year of refinement in the fire for us all. Uncertain were the times, but the brutality in many respects. My heart is clear, and the time is right to walk into a new chapter. It has been an honor to play for my country in all formats of the game. But the time has come for me to retire from Test cricket. And that's what he had to say today. Thank you, Faf, for all of those memories, because we can't thank you enough. Let's bring on the next caller. We've got Paul. We couldn't go with the stream saying bye to Faf without bringing him Paul on the stream. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Hey.
What are your thoughts about Faf when you heard the news initially?
I was shocked. I won't lie. I was like, okay, what's going on? But I kind of expected it to happen, I think, with the next test being in December. And we all like to be ageist, and we've all been ageist towards him, especially in these past couple of years. And I kind of felt that it was time for him to go. And you kind of felt that he was asked to just stay on until the team got to some point, but the team's not there yet. And I think it's now time to move on to a new chapter for him, and also for the team. For me, Faf was, I loved when Faf became captain. I loved it. I I thought he was a better captain than Graham Smith. I thought Graham had the pieces to win games, whereas Faf at times didn't have the pieces, but he won games either way. I loved his use of spin. I love his aggression on the field. I loved the fact that he would always, like that whole long stop situation where we all found out that there was a guy named Zubair Hamza. That was beautiful. That was one of the best pieces, because I hate the long stop fielding position, but Faf seemed to love it and it worked for him. And look, I've loved him as a batsman. I think he was the right guy at the right time in the last decade to try and help AB carry the mantle on once Jacques and Graham left. And I think he did that very, very well, and he added a lot of runs. Because obviously this Proteas side has always had three guys who are, you would assume, 8,000 test run scorers at any time. And with Graham leaving, with Jacques leaving, it just left AB and Amla. And then Faf came in very late in his career to try and hold that mantle, and he put down the runs. I'm not going to fight. He put the runs down. And so, look, I'm happy that he's gone. I love the whole biblical reference at the top, refinement in the fire. That's what I love to hear. Met him in church a couple of times. And he's a really, really lovely guy. And look, he's not lost to us, and I do hope he can play. Look, if Faf can bat in white ball cricket as well as he's done, he should be the first name on the team sheet going to the World Cup, and possibly even the white ball World Cup. Because if you can play for long, as we've seen with Tom Brady, as we've seen with LeBron, if you still have it, and clearly he still has it because his body isn't letting him down. He could add a lot of value for the team. So yeah, look, I'm sad. I really am, but I'm really happy for him, because I think I'm happy that now it's his time. Because here's the other thing, is that he wasn't able to rack in the cash like his friend AB did when he retired and became a T20 mercenary. Now I want Faf to go to PCL. I want him to go to the Caribbean. I want him to travel the world, make as much money as he can, and be available for the Proteas when we need him. And I hope the same level of comfort that was provided to others who are still in and around the system is afforded to him. And we don't ask questions of this guy, why isn't this guy playing? Because we see that's how we're going in South Africa. So he must also be afforded the same thing. But as a defender of Faf, I will always be there for him to defend his legacy. But he's really done an incredible job. For a guy who joined the team at a very late age, who remembers that in 2011 when he said, I think he called himself the best 28-year-old in world cricket, and New Zealand made him pay for it to the World Cup, to this man now who has done an incredible job for his country. Couldn't bring us a World Cup, but he held his head high. And the great thing about Faf is, even when the ship was sinking, he never ran away. He was always there to step up and do the job, and he did it with the bat, and that is something that I will always be grateful to him for. That World Cup in 2019, him and Rassie and Quinny put up a very brave fight, but it wasn't enough. And yeah, that's probably going to be part of his legacy. But man, he's given us 10 incredible years, and all the best to him.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Mpo, for coming on the show. We'll obviously talk to you a little later on our show about the CSA T20 Challenge. But thanks for all the words that you've given to Faf du Plessis, and we'll chat to you again. So guys, we've got an amazing message. We got not a message, but I've got a funny meme that we put together from that time when we were at Paul Rock. So here's that video I was talking about.
Hello.
So that's the perfect time for us to be able to show you guys what Faf had to say, what you guys have to say about Faf and in his career. So I'm going to bring on those comments now. Pakistan is a cricketing nation, will always be indebted to Faf du Plessis, who led World 11 for 3 matches series and played a key role in the revival of cricket in Pakistan. That's a massive, massive movement from that perspective, I think. Excellent. We've got another one over here saying, morning, mate. What a career Faf had. I remember how he answered his phone while he interviewed with you. I just played that now. I didn't actually see that comment, but yeah, that was very nerve-wracking moments for me because I was busy interviewing him. It was a very funny thing that I thought not anybody could handle a situation like that better than Faf did. Let's have Verne Erasmus. Faf is a born leader. I was very happy when he took over from AB as captain. I think that the differences between the two of them as captain, you can't even compare it. I think Faf was more of a guy that was a situational captain. He knew how to bring the best out of his players. He knew how to adapt his captaincy according to what was in front of him. Where I felt that AB was a lot more a strategic a strategic captain, where you'll come with a game plan and then and that's the game plan you'll try to stick with as best as possible. Whereas I think Faf was more situational in the way he approached the game, and I thought that was excellent about him. He says, for me, Faf is a legit universal boss. Mazhar saying thank you for coming to Pakistan, and I think that's what really shows what Faf du Plessis is all about. It was excellent from him to do something like that. He was also an unbelievable fielder, carrying on the tradition of Rhodes and Gibbs. Yes, I will always remember that Superman catches in the IPL as well as in the Test cricket from the slips, where he'll jump up in the air and reach for those catches. Unbelievable from him in the slips, and doesn't matter where he fields. Even if he was on the boundary as well, he would be excellent there too. I mean, in the IPL we obviously saw him there, and took some amazing catches at last year's IPL and the previous one as well. He actually made headlines with him. We have Avish saying, farewell to Faf, great servant to Test team. His tactical knowledge will be missed. Very, very true. And Paul just saying, Faf was my favorite captain of SA. Loved his out-of-the-box thinking. Really an amazing batsman too. We'll never forget his great escape in Australia. And I don't think a lot of people will forget about that. And even his brave declaration as well was excellent. Farewell to Faf, a great servant to the Test team. His tactical knowledge of the game will be missed. I think I read that one already. I think you typed it twice. Faf is a great leader, true servant of South African cricket. It is a right call. Yando saying, I remember at the 2011 Cricket World Cup quarterfinal, after running out AB and got sledged by the Kiwis. Guys, he knew he had cost SA a huge wicket and tried taking the side home only to hold out to cover. Pakistan is a cricketing nation, will always be indebted to Faf du Plessis, who led world. I've read that early on in the show. When Big Three were not in favor of cricket happening in Pakistan, Faf du Plessis clearly said that you must bring cricket to Pakistan and for the fans. I remember his 86 in the 2015 Cricket World Cup semi-final in New Zealand, although my home nation won, but his resilience and character is amazing. Thank you, Faf du Plessis, sir, says Yuman. Lucy says, thanks. It's safe to say we will definitely see him in the T20 and ODI squad. Excellent. We're hoping that we do still have him in the game because, I mean, he's very important. I think a champion player, and we'll probably need him in that World Cup at the number 3 position. Me personally, that's where I like him to be. Kapil saying, I have a lot of respect for Faf in my heart. When no one wants to be there in Protea setup, he's the guy who stood up. When quota system, Kolpak deals is running SA cricket. Rack in the cash, Umpo, you are a legend. Even when the ship was sinking, he never ran away. And that is true. That's what Umpo said early on in the show. Great captain after... Faf is a great captain after the great Hansi for SA. Thank you for the subscription, Chad. Who will replace Faf in the Test team? Someone asked me. Now, I'm not 100% sure who they will go with, but we have Keegan Peterson in the setup. We don't know if Zubair Hamza will maybe come back. As a captain, we're waiting to see who will step up and put their hand up for the captaincy. But most likely it will be Keegan Peterson or Aidan Harkren, perhaps, that will take Keegan Peterson, obviously, or Zubair Hamza maybe, or they can bring someone like Reina van Toorn into the setup very early as well. Those are the options. Aidan, obviously, maybe as captain. Some people may say. underappreciated player. I remember anxiously watching his test debut, was literally pacing back and forth in my living room. I'm wearing pink today for Dupi. I think a lot of us aren't big fans of the Australians, and I still do to this day love to think back on Faf's debut game. He was always extra motivated against them. Yes, and that ball tampering, the way he handled the ball tampering saga as well, I think was excellent. And even Bounce saying, I think if he never captained, he would have done better with the bat. He was better than those stats suggest. Yeah, but unlike other guys that captained, I think Faf became he became better in that as well. I think captaincy actually made him better in the way he was. Yes, if you look at his stats and you compare them with regards to captaincy, when Faf wasn't captain, in 33 games when he was not captain, he averaged 41 and he scored 850s and 500s. But when he was captain, he scored 1350s and 500s. So I think with regards to converting and scoring big runs, he became better as a captain. He played more games as a captain. He averaged 38.92, 36 games. So his strike rate was also better when he was a captain. So I think captaincy actually made him a better batsman, in my opinion. For me personally, I mean, as a captain, he scored some very important knocks for South Africa. He has 5 ODI century versus Australia and 3 versus Australian tests. Yes, excellent. So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for the call-ins. We have one. If I'm going to read it or not is the problem. Let me just read it out for first. Yeah, so I'm not going to read that one out. I don't think it's necessarily going to be motivational towards what has been said today on this channel. I want you guys to remember good memories of Faf du Plessis forever. I hope that it still has an impact in our white ball cricket. So thanks a lot for everything that you've done for South African cricket, Faf. We really, really loved you as a captain and as a player, as a human being, and continue. I want you to continue. Obviously, all of us want you to continue to inspire the next generations, and I hope that you stay in the game and you help the next generation to grow in this game of cricket. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you guys again later with another show at 8 p.m. tonight. We will be talking about the CSA T20 Challenge. Take care, everyone, and stay safe. We'll see you guys very, very soon.